I was born in Dunfermline in 1919, the 1st of April, April Fool's Day. And my mother and father, they came here earlier on from Italy, Casalatico, a province of Frosinone. I came to Belfast in 1930 with my family, and I've been here ever since. The security forces came and took my brother away because he was born in Italy, and he was put on the Arandora Star. We lost him. I never seen him since. So they interned my father, but they only held him for a few weeks, and then they let him go all through illness.
Long afterwards, the Fusco family heard that Tony had stepped forward when he heard his name called at the docks. The authorities didn't realise they had the wrong Fusco. It was said that Tony had volunteered to go with Senior Forte, rather than have him go alone from what had become their home city of Belfast. This is the road north to Malin Head, looking out into the Atlantic towards America. The first of the victims from the Arandora Star were recovered from this coastline. The old buildings at Malin Head looked like a fortress, but they must withstand gales of 120 miles an hour in winter. This tower was built in 1801 to report shipping movements to London. It was here that they received the distress call from the Arandora Star. A short distance away is the wartime Coast Guard watch house. Through this very window they watched the Arandora Star passing earlier that morning. In the days before aviation, the ocean liner was the only way to travel. In times of war they became troop ships, moving armies from one battlefield to another. And that's why, beneath these storm-tossed waters around Malin Head, there are more liners on the bottom of the sea than anywhere else in the world, the victims of 2 world wars. Out there is the Arandora Star, 6,000 feet beneath the waves. And not far beyond her is the submarine which sank her and which would join her on the bottom of the Atlantic less than a year later. The U-boat commander, Capitan Preen, had no idea, of course, that he was attacking his Italian allies and his countrymen. Painted naval grey, with no markings, the Arandora Star was just another troop ship. It was his duty to attack. The results of that attack became apparent a few weeks later. On August 17, 1940, the Donegal Vindicator newspaper reported that 9 bodies from the Arandora Star had been recovered from the sea around this northwest coast. Some were those of soldiers, some were unidentified Italians, some could not be identified at all. The Donegal Democrat newspaper reported the finding of yet more bodies, including a British soldier, Clive Darrell, who was found in a lifebelt bearing the name Arandora Star, a 27-year-old German airman who had been one of the German prisoners, and an Italian internee called Giovanni Ferdenzi from Vernasca near Bardi. More than 90 of the British guards were drowned and were identified through their army identity discs, but the civilians had only a few papers, which seldom survived 4 weeks in the ocean.
The Atlantic waves which roll into the beautiful beaches of Donegal brought in the body of an army guard from the Arandora Star, Private Peter Clark from Devon. The local people buried Peter in their little cemetery close by. He was 17.
On August the 24th, the Donegal Democrat reported that the body of a soldier was washed up on a beach, the body of an unidentified seaman was washed up on an island, together with a lifeboat from the Arandora Star. 2 unidentified bodies were buried on an island where they were found, and by the evening the shores of Loch Ross Bay on the western coast were strewn with wreckage, including pieces of lifeboat, ship's furniture, pieces of cork from lifebelts, and thousands of tiny pieces of wood. Who would not have been moved by this terrible disaster? Listen to the South Donegal coroner, Dr. John O'Sullivan, who returned verdicts of death by drowning on 2 unidentified bodies which had been washed ashore on August the 10th. Like so many others, these men met cruel deaths, and it is possible that their dear ones will never learn the facts of their fate. I am sure we shall all breathe a prayer for the happy repose of their souls, and ask the Almighty to bring comfort to the hearts of their grief-stricken relatives. One family, the Camozzi's, did find out what happened. Cesare Camozzi left Iseo in northern Italy at the age of 20 and opened his first restaurant in Manchester 4 years later. He married Minnie in 1924, and in 1931 he opened his second restaurant, the Monogram, where he lived until his arrest in 1940 at the age of 49. He was taken to Scotland, then to Liverpool, where he was put aboard the Arandora Star. A policeman, Garda Duffy, told the inquest that one of the bodies found on the coast near Malin Head carried a letter addressed to a Mr. Cesare Camozzi at an internment camp in Scotland. The letter was headed Monogram Cafe in Manchester and was signed, "Your affectionate wife, Minnie." Garda Duffy said that he then telephoned the Monogram Cafe and was answered by a lady who said she was the wife of Cesare Camozzi and that she had written the letter found on the body of the dead man. What a call to have to make. What a terrible call to receive. This is the cemetery in the little town of Carndonna near Malin Head. We're in one of the poorest areas of Ireland, where people have long emigrated to find better lives. Perhaps this is why they still remember Cesare Camozzi. The people of Carndonna attended his funeral. They held a mass on what would have been his 100th birthday, and they still tend his grave today. On his grave is a cross, formed from pebbles from the beach where his body was found. In the nearby village of Culdaff is St Bundan's Church and the grave of Private Clive Darrell of the Welsh Regiment, the army guard who came ashore in the Arandora Star lifebelt. In the next village of Faughan, beside the sailors lost in 2 world wars, is the grave of another guard, Private Percy Palmer. On August the 12th, the body of Luigi Ferdenzi of Vernasca, north of Bardi, floated into this beach near Carndonna. His cousin of the same name also died in the Arandora Star. Both had been working in London. Jack Doherty has lived in Donegal all his 74 years, and he remembers the body being found at the spot where he is standing. Clonmany is a little village nestling in the Donegal hills. As in Carndonna, the people took this poor Italian to their hearts. Father Divine and his congregation buried the remains of Luigi Ferdenzi among their own people in their churchyard, and they tend his grave to this day.